Okay, well, just in case you're growing concerned that we're going to run out of work anytime soon on this Jeep, please don't be concerned. Efforts today are going to be geared around getting the new motor out of the box and onto the stand, which means we've got to get the old motor off the stand and ultimately into the box and ready to go back to S&J as the core. I've got my front differential in a spot where I can button it back up and get some gear lube back in it. I've got the rear differential with a fair amount of work to do to get it to that same point. And I have got to get the transmission transfer case in from out in the Jeep graveyard out there and get those things ready to go off to the shop, be put back together and serviced up. So lots to do, lots to do. Let's jump into it and get something done here, shall we?
Old and busted, new hotness.
All right, well, here we have it again. You get to join me after the tough work is done. But I got it accomplished, and I'll tell you how I did it here. So here is, I'm going to spin you around. Here's our new motor on the stand. There's our old motor in the box, not on the engine hoist, which is over here, empty. So how did I do it? Well, all I did, I took my moving dollies and I put some 2x4s on them so that they could come up higher than the legs of the engine hoist. So while I had the engine hanging here, so I put my straps through the pallet like I did before, and I lifted up the box. And then I just strapped up some 2x4s, and I think I got a 1/2-inch piece of fence post underneath there. Strapped those to my moving dollies, and I was able to then have enough height that when I lowered the box down, it was sitting on the dollies, not sitting on those legs of the hoist there, those big long front legs. So a little precarious, I'll give you that. It looks a little precarious, and I might still live to regret it when I drop the thing off to the side here. But at least for now, I have it mobile, I can move it around, and it doesn't feel too scary because all the weight of the engine is centered, right in the center of the box. So the weight is right over the dollies. So I think it'll be all right. Now, the one thing I haven't figured out how to do is inside of the box. Let's bring you up here for a second and I'll show you the inside. So what they had done when they packed this is down through the side, underneath into the pallet, they had put some metal straps, 2 metal straps around here. And I don't know how I'm supposed to strap this thing back in here. What it's sitting on is a little framework of a couple of 2x6s on end in there, and so they're running laterally along the length of the block. But I'm sure it's got to be tied in there, I may call him and say, hey, you know, what do you suggest to keep that all sorted out? Because if the guy does like he did when he was delivering this and he tips this thing up to get his pallet jack under the thing, I'm afraid it might, you know, tip all the way and wind up dumping over on him. So I'll probably just call the guys at S&J and ask them what they recommend I do to do that. But then during that same phone call, I can say, hey, send your boys to come get this thing and get it out of my garage. So this is all clean. It's all oily. There was a little bit of oil. They had a bag in there. They had a double plastic bag in the box with a soaker sheet, but the bag had ripped a little bit on the bottom, so I did wind up getting some oil all over the floor. There's plenty of oil, which is good because, you know, that's all we know. It's all well lubed, and there'll be even more oil. But for now, since I'm not actually ready to start bolting parts on it, I might do what I did with this one when I had it up on the stand and just go get myself a yard garden bag and trash bag, you know, and just put over it so that if I'm doing other things in the garage here, I won't be getting dust inside of my pristine block there. So cylinder or valve covers, you know, we might have to find some cool looking valve covers to go on there. Intake manifold obviously goes in the center. The old block does not have this in it. I'm assuming it's an extra oil delivery passage there from either down here up to the point where we're holding in the camshaft or the other direction. Not really sure, but other than that, it looks the same as what we took out. So we're ready to go. So that's me done for the night, at least. I'm gonna go have to sit down and calm my jangled nerves because they've been a little jangly while I was doing this, I gotta tell you. I don't know if I showed it to you, but when I lifted this new block out of the box, I had it up on the hoist over there, and what I did is I set it down on my engine, or on my frame stands, my jack stands there. So it was kind of sitting on those, and it wasn't the most stable thing in the world, but nothing went wrong. I just went slow and took it careful. So I think that's the rule of the day is, you know, just take your time, and if something doesn't feel right, I stop and resituate stuff. It's still a bear getting the block on the engine stand because the engine stand doesn't, these legs down here are just a little bit too wide to fit between these legs, far enough to be directly under the block when you're lowering it down. And I've got the arm extended out as far as I'm supposed to go for a 1/4 ton load, as you can see. So if I extend this out more to get this out here, and, you know, so that I'm further towards the end of these legs, then theoretically I'm exceeding the strength of this. And when I fold that thing over, I won't be able to take it back to Harbor Freight and say, hey, my stand gave out, my hoist gave out. So, yeah, it's just a little bit of a struggle. What I wound up doing was kind of lifting the engine stand, that wide part, up on the legs of the hoist to get the bolts in here in the back. And then I kind of, you know, as I lowered it down, it comes out a little ways. As you're lowering the hoist down, the engine's kind of swinging away, coming further out the legs. So it's a bit of a struggle, and I'm sure, again, it's one of those things that when you're doing it, you're like, there's got to be a better way, because this doesn't all seem to be designed to kind of work right. You know, the arm on the hoist either needs to be longer, or the feet on my engine stand need to be narrower so that they could go in further in between those legs down there on the hoist right there. So I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong and there's some big secret that I don't know. But if there is, I don't know it. So alrighty, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching tonight, and I'll catch you next time around.
All right, well, we got this front end pretty much buttoned up. I did get my tie rod ends torqued down to 45 pounds. I got cotter pins through them. Same on the drag link. I have my little piece of tape over my breather till I get my hose in there. And I got the other side done. I also did get my bolt on my top of my shock mounts here. That was one of those things I kept going, I better not forget to do that. So yeah, front end is at a good spot to leave it here now until we get the motor in. All right, well, I just thought I'd take a quick minute and show you what I've done with the breather hose so far for the front end. I decided to take the tape off the breather fitting right here and put the actual tube in there. I set it out in the sun for a little while and let it get kind of hot, and then I started to kind of bend this little bend here. It was a fairly tight bend. I let the hose hang from it while it was kind of cooling off, so I don't know if it took the bend or not very well, but we'll see. But then what I've done is I've got one zip strip here around the spring shock, or the U-bolt for the spring. And then I just went down underneath the differential, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to kind of parallel that leaf spring back up to that leaf spring hanger in the back here. So hold on, I'm going to jump you out from under the frame. Oh, sorry, did I bump your head there? I'm sorry. And you see this hole right here in the spring hanger? Well, that might be a good place to put one of these little brackets here in there to give me some, you know, positive point to hook my hose up. And then I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my breather right about here on the firewall, because I was looking back through the video when I was undoing the back, getting everything unhooked, the hoses and everything for the heater core, and I don't think there's anything there. And I think there's plenty of room between that part of the firewall and the back of the engine, so I don't think it's going to get in the way. So that's my plan. It's right about there. And I'll make sure that I make it nice and parallel, and we'll make sure that the ARB banner is properly properly lined up and level. So that's where I'm going to put that. And then if I do put that little bracket down here on that spring hanger, then as I come forward with my back hose from the back differential, I should be able to run it through there as well and kind of bring them up together and take them up to the top there. So I think that's going to work out okay. A couple things I want to show you around here. So I did have to dig through my box of old parts over here to get those bolts that go on the top of the shock absorbers on the front end. And over here, there's our old engine in the box wheeling around on my moving dollies. Now, you might be, if you're like me at this point, you're starting to think, well, this Don does kind of dumb stuff sometimes, so this might be one of his dumb things. And I'm not talking about the instability of that thing on the carts or anything like that, because that's been fine. What I'm worried about is getting that thing off of there. Because when the guy delivered it, you know, he stuck the prong of his pallet jack into the hole there. That's how he was lifting the thing up. And then he was kind of tilting the box side to side to shove it up on his pallet jack and so forth. And that's why I got to figure out how to make sure that motor's kind of hooked down in there somehow. So anyway, a good idea to get it. I mean, that's about the only thing I could do to get off the engine hoist, but now we're gonna have to figure out how to get it off those little carts at some point. So that'll have me scratching my head, I'm sure. I looked at the weigh bill for this thing, and I do believe this 454 that's printed on the box here is the weight, or it's close to it or a little above it. I think it was on the weigh bill. It was like that was the number. When I saw that number, I was like, oh, that's the weight of this thing. So nearly 500 pounds. That's why it's kind of an issue getting it on and off of stuff. But anyway, so that's where we're at right now. And next order of business is I do have this rear brake all done, but if you peek under the Jeep under there, you can see a brake drum down under there with all the brake tools in it. So that tells us that our brake guy has not been along to do the other side, the driver's side rear brake. So guess I better get on that, right? All right, I'll do that. I won't bore you with making you watch me do that. And then I think I can figure out how to kind of, again, do my little Tetris moves and maybe get the car pulled back in the garage here. So I'm just gonna set you down here for a while and let you go do other things. And I'm gonna put that brake together, and then we'll have a moment together at the end and we'll see what else we're gonna do on this thing.
All right, well, I know I said I wasn't really going to bother you letting you watch me do this driver's side rear brake, but I just pulled the tire off and I was like, oh, I didn't remember that I had left the old brake drum on there. So I've got a new brake drum down here, which looks a little bigger. It's got kind of this bigger lip around the outside. So I guess that's a good thing. But so when we pull this guy off of here, yowza, spiders. Spider webs everywhere on this silly thing. So it's old spider webs. Nothing's gonna get me. But I've realized that I have not changed out this brake cylinder on this backside. So I've had one of these cylinders sitting here in the box, and I think I came across this at one point and I was like, oh, did I get an extra one of those or what happened? But nope, I just had not put that in yet. So first step is, well, let me just show you briefly. So this guy, all new and shiny, just replaces that guy, all old and nasty. So new and shiny, old and nasty. So again, this is how it is, you know, when they build the thing or when you've had your brakes done. This is the part that the piston pushes out to go out and press out my brake pads, but the pads and everything are gone. Just the old drum was here and the old cylinder's here. So I will change that cylinder out with the new one, and then I'll get on with my job of putting this thing all back together. Well, as it turns out, what I forgot was that I had not ever pulled this backing plate off and cleaned it up and painted it like I did the other side. So I guess the argument could be made that no one probably would have known if I didn't do that, but I would have, and that kind of stuff would just never stop haunting me. So anyway, coat of primer on this side. I'll let that dry for a little while, flip her over, do a coat of primer on the other side, and then I'll do some flat black over that. So this will bog down the brake process a little bit. Man, I will just find any excuse to not do these brakes right. So seriously though, I gotta let the paint dry. So I'll come back when it's dry, I'll flip it over, we'll give her a coat on the other side and go from there. So I think I have some kind of indication of what kind of a day it's gonna be today. I came out here in the garage with my cup of coffee and I was just kind of easing myself into starting to think about the Jeep stuff, and I was looking at the backer plate to see if the paint was dry and whatnot, and I hear this Harley Davidson motorcycle coming down the street, and I'm expecting to see this dude with his beard down to here and his big hair and his flies stuck in it, and his just on the way back from the biker thing in Sturgis, and I can hear music playing but can't really tell what he's playing yet, so I'm expecting to hear some death metal or something about guns and America and whatever. And it's John Denver, Thank God I'm a Country Boy. So it just didn't fit. So that's what's kind of surrealistic day it's gonna be today, I guess. So I'm gonna paint up that backer plate, get this brake put back together, and hope that the rest of the universe sorts itself out, because that didn't seem right. All right, well, I thought I'd give you a quick before and after. This is our oil pan before getting cleaned up. So it looks like that on the outside. So we got the gaskets in there on the inside. A little dirty. This will be a nice time to have a nice parts washer. But I don't. Not gonna buy one. All in all, not a bad weekend. So I got the brakes done on the back with one exception. I don't seem to have the right parking brake cable for the driver's side. So I'll have to go figure out what the story is with that. But if you look over my shoulder, you'll see I got the oil pan sanded down, cleaned up, coat of primer on that thing. So once I find my oil pickup unit, then we could actually flip that motor over and put the oil pan on the bottom. I do think I'm going to paint the block. The block is black right now. And it seemed like I saw one of these where a guy painted it blue, and I kind of think blue might be the original AMC color. Kind of liked it. So might give that a go. But for now, just go to primer on that thing. I did my garage Tetris and got everything all put away over here behind me. I'll spin you around and tell you how I got this process down. So engine hoist kind of goes there. If we start at the front and go back, you can see fenders are underneath the Jeep. They fit under there on the, while the thing is up on the dollies. Hood right there. This is the stuff out of the back of the pickup that can't go back in there yet until we take our digital sign stuff back over to Wyoming, as is the base for the truck over there. The motor has been wheeled back here behind the Jeep for now, just to last us until we figure out where to get rid of that thing, and voila, there it is, place for the car to come back in. But given how filthy I am not going to get in the car dressed like this. So first things first, it's time for a shower, and then I'll pull the car in here, and I think I got time to go get in the mountains somewhere. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, and I think that's not a bad week's worth of work. So when we come back, transmission and transfer case got to go to the shop. The engine can start going back together. I think I need a new set of headers, so I'll start shopping for those. But like and I need a new clutch. I was looking at clutches a little bit ago. So clutch and a flywheel, headers, and then I got to figure out something to do about that, whether I'm going to go back on with the Holley projection fuel injection system or just a carburetor. But for now, we're going to wrap it up. So thanks for watching. Stick around. You're not going to miss any of this. We're getting close. It's really starting to get serious about the reassembly part of this, so I'm digging it. So hope you're enjoying watching me. And have I mentioned I really don't like rear drum brakes? Man, I don't like those. So I got them done though, but boy, it's just a nuisance. So anyway, when that Cj-5 comes in the garage, it's for sure getting the rear disc brake conversion kit, because I'm not doing any more rear drum brakes. I'm glad that we have moved past those, although I think the Tacoma's got rear drums on it. Well, I'm not ever fixing those. We'll take them to the shop when they need to be done. So I'm rambling now. I'm going to stop. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.